So I had a fun start to my day.
Oh yeah.
I got up this morning, and both of the cats are they're scratching around this cabinet that we've got that the printer sits on.
Oh no.
And we're thinking, oh god, like what are they trying to get?
Yeah, they
You know
don't want
what?
they don't just want paper.
Right. So I pull the cabinet out, and I see this tiny little mouse sort of sat on the back frame of it, like there's a little sort of lip of the wood, and there's
Uh-huh.
a mouse sat there, and I pushed the cabinet back, and I sort of looked at Jess. I said, "What are we gonna do? We've got to go to work." Um, and and after a few minutes, we came to the conclusion, let's let the cats deal with it. So we we grabbed all our stuff. And I literally just pulled the cabinet out, and we just left.
Oh no. Let
Um,
let nature take its course.
right. I've now come home. The mouse is nowhere to be seen.
Sure.
I can't find it. So now I'm thinking, oh god, if they put the mouse, like if they've presumably they've killed it. I mean,
Yeah, but
I
where are
can't
you, where are
imagine
you
it
gonna
got
find
away.
where are you gonna find it? Right? Is it gonna be under the dining room table, or maybe tucked away behind your television?
Right, exactly. So now I'm just like sort of wandering the house looking for a dead mouse
Oh
somewhere.
no,
I mean,
no.
I'm hoping they've taken it outside, but I mean, it was. What am I gonna do? I can't catch a mouse. Like,
No, not as well as a cat for sure.
well, I definitely know, and there's two of them, so they had way better chance than I did.
Oh man, yeah.
So I guess maybe I'll find it at some point.
We have had adventures with mice once in a while, not in quite a while, but it's never fun to have to deal with that.
Yeah, Portsmouth is. I think I might have mentioned this on the show before, but like Portsmouth is notoriously bad for like mice and rats in the houses and flats. I think it's just because they're all so closely packed together.
Oh sure.
It, it's just one of those things you have to deal with if you live in Portsmouth. But get cats, and it makes it way easier.
Oh yeah, that's a good solution. Well, Rob, we are here recording this just the day after an Apple event. This is probably one of the very few times we've ever done that, because oftentimes we have recorded the day before, or maybe 2 days before, and had some very bad predictions. But now we don't have that problem. We can just talk about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, everyone can just assume that had we done predictions, they all would have been accurate. I totally
Oh,
would have
absolutely.
predicted slofies. I mean, who didn't have that on their bingo card?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. I've been very busy hot taking for the last 24 hours, so I've been all over the Twitters, and now I'm actually recovering today. I'm taking a very slow and easy day compared to what yesterday was like, because those days are, I really enjoy covering an Apple event, but it's a long day and it's really tiring, fairly stressful, and I couldn't even go to bed when I was finished. I was just too wound up from being on for so many hours. So I unwound by sitting in the chair and rewatching the event, because I wanted to actually enjoy it and watch it from the perspective of not just looking for the things that I had to write about, but actually understanding what went on. So I finished the day by rewatching the thing and catching up on the internet.
Yeah, it was. I think it was pretty good. I mean, it felt a bit weird with the retail stuff at the end because,
Yes.
let's be honest, who cares? I mean, it's quite clear that was for the Watch Studio thing, which
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but when I got my Series 4, and I'm not the first person to mention this, but it came, the Series 4 shipped out as a box for the watch, and then the strap separately, regardless of what strap you bought.
Mm.
And I said at the time, I don't know if I said it on the show or whatever, but I was like, I'm sure they're gearing up to just be able to like mix and match and order whatever the hell you want. And of course, that's exactly what the retail update was yesterday. You can go on, you pick any finish, you just flick through all the bands and pick whatever you want. And I don't know if the band prices have gone down or you get a bit of a discount on the more expensive ones, but you can kind of basically pick anything you want now.
Right. Well, as standalone bands, I don't, at least like the sport bands, I don't think the prices change. They're still in the US, they're $50. But yeah, it's a nice program. I tried it yesterday. I actually ordered a watch because I really thought I was gonna sit out this year, but the always on screen really caught my eye more than anything else, and I really do enjoy using it for exercising and stuff like that. So I'm I'm looking forward to having that ability. So yeah, it's not a huge upgrade, but it was just enough for it to make it worth my while. Plus, I mean, I always have the added excuse that I write about this stuff, but I did go through that mix and match process. And last night, one of the things I'd done this before in earlier events where I put together a story that was all the cases and bands, where I would go and download all the screenshots that are on apple.com of the different colors, and then I would composite all the images so that someone could look at them and see them kind of side by side in a way that you really can't on Apple's site. And oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't like started that doing that as kind of a thing that I do, because last night was, I think it was 40 bands and 18 cases, something like that. It was a lot of messing around with images more than anything else to get that all put together. It was a ton of work, but it is kind of a nice way to side by side compare some of the different models and the colors and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. You did a really good job on this. I actually didn't notice this. I ordered the black and pink Nike one last night.
Oh yeah.
But I was just looking at the standard sport bands, and I noticed yet again there's always that orange one that seems to get renamed and slightly tweaked every year.
I know, it's always a slightly different color of orange. I have the original orange from I guess it was the Series 0. It was the very first, whenever they started doing colored bands, I got the very first orange one, which is very much a Halloween traditional orange. It's not like, I think this year I can tell you that they call it Clementine, because I was going through all. The other thing is I have to go through and come up, copy all these fancy names and drop them into the story, which is also a little bit troublesome, especially when you get to the Hermes bands with all their accents. But yeah, and they have a yellow that's called Meyer Lemon, which Marco Arment pointed out on Twitter today what a Meyer lemon is, which I was not familiar. It's sounds like it's a little bit like a cross between a lemon and an orange. But yeah, I was doing that last night, and it's, of course the thing is, when you say that you've created a story with all the watch bands, you're just setting yourself up, right? I mean,
absolutely. You get the old, technically there's this one.
Right. You click publish, and then and at one point, and Federico, to his credit, he saw the story and he immediately came back and said, well, what about the Milanese loop? And I was like, what do you mean, what about the Milanese loop? That's been around since the very first one. And he goes, well, I'm on this page on apple.com and it says it's new. And I said, well, I didn't use that page. So there's like discrepancies between pages. And I think what he was looking at was this mix and match thing, where technically this particular Milanese loop and this particular steel case was a new combination that hadn't existed before, but technically the band itself wasn't new. And so it was one of those things. So there was that. And then, and I basically told him, I said, look, let's not change it. If we say the Milanese loop is new, we're going to get far more people tweeting at us than if we leave it off. And sure enough, there was one person who mentioned that. And there was somebody, apparently, if you get the titanium watch, you get a really ugly drab gray band with it, a sport band, which does not show up anywhere on the page that talks about the new bands, because apparently you can't buy it separately. You can only buy it with the titanium. So yes, there may be one or two like really small discrepancies like that, but I went through and picked out all the new ones. And with like the Hermes one, some of them are new, some of them are not new, and it's just a pain. But and those, boy, you can spend almost $600 on a band if you really want to get fancy.
Yeah, I do not. I kind of recoil even at the price I pay for the the standard sport bands. It's the only ones I ever buy. Because I don't like the sport loop, and I'm not really interested in like a leather one or anything. So, when I ordered I'm just looking for the black and pink blast, I guess is the name of this Nike one.
Yep, that's a nice one.
Even when I ordered that last night, I mean it's like a month pre-ordered or something. I got to wait till the middle of October.
Oh, really?
Get that one for some reason. I mean, that's been around for a while. It's not a new one, but yeah, I've got to wait a while
I think the one that you're talking about is technically on their list of new. It might be a slightly different shade of pink or something. And yeah, that's the other thing is like if you look at the dates, I wanted to like say these are all available on X date. It's all over the map. It's like the plain sports bands, the ones that are solid colors, are all coming the same day as the watches, but all the other ones vary anywhere from early October to like the end of October, depending on which one you're getting. It tends to be the more money you spend on a band, the later it's going to show up at your house.
Right. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. I'm excited. I'm getting another band, even though I don't need one.
yeah. No, that's a nice one, and I like those bands with the holes in them and everything. I've been using one for quite a while. Most of the summer I've been wearing that. I do like the sport loops too. I have a couple of those. I haven't really been buying bands like I used to. The new watch that's coming that I'm getting has kind of a green one, kind of I guess a forest green that I was thinking would go really well with the iPhone 11 Max matte green. And then the more I've looked at that color, the more I thought this is not a good color. And so I'm not going with the green phone now, I've decided. But that was part of the reason I ordered that particular band. I think it'll look nice anyway, but it's not going to match my fancy phone.
Yeah, I was looking at the green earlier, and I'm probably going to get one. This is the iPhone 11 Pro.
Right.
And I was looking at the green, and I'm like, it's nice that there's a different color. It's just a shame that it's this kind of ugly green that's not particularly nice.
It's the color. It's the color of money, Rob. That's what I decided that they were trying to convey with it.
Right. Yeah, they've completely nailed that.
At least U.S. money.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know. I might go gold. Why not?
Yeah.
Because they're all nice. I mean, even if I got a green one, I'm sure it'd be fine. To be honest, until this morning, I couldn't have told you what color my phone is because I never really look at the back of it.
I know. I think I'm going to go silver again. And if I go silver, I don't know if I'm going to get a case. I was going to get a clear case, and I think I'm just going to, go with the naked phone again, which I've been doing ever since I got the last phone, and it's been fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done that for probably a couple of years now, and I even dropped this one, which is the iPhone 10 that I've got. I dropped it on concrete. And, it's been fine. So, yeah, I just wing it and see what happens.
Yeah, I have a nasty scratch in the middle of the glass on mine, but other than that, it's absolutely fine. You mentioned that the event was kind of weird. It really was. I mean, it felt like I haven't decided what happened, but I think they must have changed that event at some point relatively late in the game. Like there was another thing to announce, and they said, well, we don't want to disrupt the flow of everything else that we announced, so we're just going to throw retail on the end. Because who puts retail on the end? And I get that they wanted to talk about those bands and everything, but I don't know. I would have thought that would have come earlier in the presentation when they did the Apple Watch.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't work out. You get Apple Arcade and the TV right at the beginning, which kind of made sense because, they didn't, let's be honest, they didn't really show anything for either of those services that we didn't already know. A couple of new games or whatever, but okay, it's still a streaming service. It's still a game service. I mean, pricing seems pretty good to me, like $4.99 a month for each one of those seems reasonable. I'm not convinced of the TV service yet because, we really don't know how much stuff is actually going to be there.
Yeah, what was your reaction to the game service? Because I thought those demos did a really bad job of showing it off because I felt like those games were I never know how to describe this, but there's a certain look to one of these games that's kind of almost like a cookie cutter Unity engine game or something where it's like you can kind of feel that it's like different artwork but the same game over and over again. I don't know if it's like almost like a template type game and maybe not Frogger so much, but I feel like some of the games they've showed off have just been really bizarre choices for things to show off.
Yeah, I'm starting to, I guess the hope was that we'd get, 100 games that are like Monument Valley. They're really
right.
Unique. They're different. They look, Monument Valley specifically looks incredible. And it's not really like anything else. But yeah, I feel like it's like, oh great, it's Frogger. Okay. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that, because I'm just like, yeah, I can play any generic, clone of Frogger that's come out in the last sort of 20, 30, 40 years or whatever.
Right,
You know,
right.
I don't know. I'd be more interested to see once we can see the full list, which I hope, you're going to do game day, for 100 days or something?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've actually been talking to Federico a little bit about how we cover arcade, but yes, I will be subscribing and checking it out. I came out of the event skeptical about Apple Arcade because other than Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is a game that I've been following for a while, that's been in development for quite some time, which I am excited about. I wasn't super excited about what they showed off, nor was I excited about the ones that leaked. Maybe was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago on 9 to 5 Mac, where they got in and actually tried some of the games. But if you look at the list that was in the press release, there are some interesting games in there. Plus, on Twitter, game companies have started to reveal that they're going to be part of Apple Arcade. And so I can send you the list. I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen lists of at least 20 or 30 games at this point, and there are good games in there. I mean, Snowman has Skate City, which is I saw a very early version of Skate City back when WWC was still in San Francisco. I mean, that's been in development for like 3+ years, and it's a really cool game. And that and Where Cards Fall are both coming from them. And to me, those are the games that should have been front and center. Now, Where Cards Fall did get a lot of screen time in March when they first announced Apple Arcade. And the thing that finally kind of drew me back in and made me a little more optimistic about arcade after the event was two things. One is I saw all these other game companies and saw some names that I recognized and looked like good games. And two, I went back and I compared the slides that they had at the beginning, back in March when when arcade was first announced, and yesterday. They had both events. They had slides showing the logos of a bunch of game companies, and the list has grown from around 35 to over 90. So that's a good sign. They're not going to have 100 right at launch. They said that's going to kind of evolve over the coming weeks, as they put it, which is totally fine with me. I can't play 100 games in a month anyway. And in that sense, I feel like TV Plus has done a much better job of quality density, in the sense that, okay, I can name for you 4 or 5 shows that are coming that I'm either very interested in or at least somewhat interested in. And while if they can't keep up the slow drip of new material over a period of months, I might cancel it, at least when it launches. And over time, I expect that there will be something on Apple TV Plus for me to watch. Whereas I wasn't entirely convinced of that with the games, at least initially. But now I'm thinking, okay, there'll be 75 to 100 games, but there'll be at least a dozen that I really like. And a dozen games right out of the box, that's good. That'll take me a while to play. And then it's just a matter of what's the quality like because they're going to be adding games monthly. What's the ongoing quality like, and how many new ones are we going to get a month? Am I going to get bored with the service at some point, or will there be enough new material to kind of keep me interested and engaged with it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to sign up yet, because I don't play a lot of games anyway. I'll check out the list. I think is there a month free trial? I think they said
there is.
I can try it out then. And I mean, as for Apple TV Plus, yeah, there's some nice TV shows like the Sea or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
it looks pretty, I guess, but is it actually a good show? Who knows? I mean, again, I don't know. Did they say there's going to be a free trial for the TV?
I don't know. What they said with TV is that if you buy any Apple gear, you get a free year of the service. So an Apple Watch, a phone, a Mac, whatever it is, an iPad, you get a free year of service. So, with your watch that you just bought, you'll get a free year of service.
Oh, I didn't buy a watch.
Oh, I thought you bought a watch. You just got a band. You will not get it with a band. I'm sorry, Rob.
No, that's for if I get the phone,
yes, if you get the phone,
that should do it. I mean, I don't mind too much. I mean, $4.99 a month, it is reasonable. I mean, it's less than what I pay for Netflix.
Right.
So, yeah, it's certainly not going to look as good value next to like Disney Plus. But you know, it's fine. I can have more than one service. So I don't know. I give it a go. A bit like you. I'm just going to see what it's like. I'll subscribe. If there's not enough new stuff, I'll just cancel it. You know, there's no problem with me signing up again when there's a new show that I want to see.
Right, and that's become my MO now. I've decided that I'm just going to dabble in all these services and download them, take advantage of free trials and sign up for a month here or there and watch shows, whatever they have to offer. Like I just signed up for CBS All Access, partly because I wanted to watch The Twilight Zone and partly because I wanted to see what this whole channels thing is like in Apple TV because I hadn't used channels yet. And, I guess the big advantage of channels is that unlike the old system where you get kicked out from the TV app to a third-party app, with channels, it all plays natively in the native player. And so everything's consistent. You don't get dumped out. It gives you, it tracks where you are on each series and that kind of thing. There's some nice advantages to it. And I've enjoyed it. But like CBS All Access, I'm not like a Star Trek person. So I don't expect I'll be staying, which I know that's the big draw for CBS All Access for a lot of people. But I'll probably watch my 1 week free trial. Maybe I'll sign up for a month just to kind of finish out any other shows I want to see. But then I'll probably switch and maybe I'll try, I don't know, HBO next or whatever it happens to be. I think with TV Plus, it really is going to be. What's not clear is what's coming out when. So how many things are we going to get to see right out of the box November 1st? And then how much is going to come out on how regular a schedule going forward? Now, on some level, it won't matter because I'll have a new watch or phone or whatever and have a full year of free service. On the other hand, it's going to be one of those things where you kind of watch that and see, well, I'm coming up on a year. Am I going to actually start paying for this if I'm only getting one or two shows that I might not care about each month that are coming online, or am I going to stick with it? And that's where the problem they have really comes to bear, which is there's no back catalog. So it's not like Netflix where it's like, well, Stranger Things, I got through it and I'm done with it, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff here that I can watch too, whether it's original content or old movies or old TV shows. I can always, dive back into Parks and Rec if I want.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I guess we'll find out on 1st November or whenever it comes out. But as you say, if you're going to get a year free, this is a problem for future John. It's not a problem for now, John.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to worry about it until at least next September.
Yeah, definitely. So anything else from the event? Because I mean, the iPad was a bit, it's fine. It's been updated. It's nice, but it's a bit whatever. It's just it's the bottom end iPad.
It was literally, I sat down to write about it and I was like, well, what am I going to write? Because the only two things that changed are the size and the smart connector. So now you can use a smart keyboard with it, both of which are very nice. But beyond that, it's no different. The only thing, like the more interesting thing than the features really was that it's only like 0.3 inches less than an iPad Air. Now the big there's a lot of other differences with the Air, so I think the Air still has an advantage. But side by side on a table, they're going to look very much the same. I mean, there's a better chip in the Air. It's thinner. It's lighter. It has a laminated screen. Whole bunch of things, but sitting there turned off, they're hard to distinguish.
Yeah, I was kind of watching it, and they said, "Oh, it's got this new sized screen or whatever," and I've got the Air, I think, and I was kind of looking at it, I'm like, wait, what iPad do I have? How is this different from the one I
right.
have next to me? Because I don't pay a lot of attention to the iPad, because I don't, really like a sort of lower end one is fine for me. I'm not really interested in sort of the higher spec iPad Pros and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I just couldn't. I was just looking at it, it's like, okay, I guess it's an update. Does it make it better than mine, worse than mine? I couldn't work it out, but I just sort of moved on. It's not really that important to me, so
it's a minor upgrade. There's no chip upgrade or anything like that either, so it's not that big a deal. And the price stays at exactly the same as it was before, which is $329. It's a good deal, and I mean it's kind of remarkable though that the keyboard is something like 40% of the price of the iPad, because it's $159 to get the keyboard.
Wow.
And it's $329 for the iPad itself. So You know, that price of that keyboard looks a lot more reasonable when you're spending $1,000 on an iPad Pro, but not so much when you're buying the lower end iPad.
I mentioned it like at the beginning when we were talking, but this slofies thing, I think here's the problem, right? I've said it twice now, right? This is the second time I've said it out loud. The problem is, we're all saying it like a joke and going, oh, I can't believe Apple are trying to make that a word and a thing people say. And yet I've had 2 podcasts today already that have said it. I've just said it. We're all part of the problem.
Yeah.
In a year, we're just going to think it's a normal word.
True. I can't imagine a circumstance where I would like to take a slow motion picture of my face.
Yeah, that's not what I want particularly.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it next time I'm on a roller coaster or something. I don't know. There's probably some circumstance where it might seem cool, but yeah, that's kind of funny. I mean, the phones are interesting. I mean, I think, sorry, the phones are interesting. The 11 is really interesting because it's really close in a lot of respects to the Pro.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the price is really, really good. I mean, you know, if you're even a little bit sort of price sensitive about how much you're on a budget or whatever, I mean, the 11 is a great phone. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all fine. You know, me and you, oh, the screen's not as nice, or all the bezels are a bit bigger.
Right.
In reality, people don't care about that. I probably wouldn't care about that. You know, if somebody handed me an 11 and said, here's a free phone, I'd go, okay, great. I'm not going to buy another phone because it would be fine. You know, it's got the ultra wide lens on it, so you're not getting all the advantages of the 11 Pro camera, but you're still getting, you know, a decently upgraded camera. I mean, for the price that it is, and I can't believe Apple have done this to us, because you remember when all the phones used to cost this much. But you know, for the price that it is, it's a really good phone.
Yeah, it is very nice. I'm not enamored with all the colors, but there's always, you know, the option for like white and black, which are pretty basic and boring. I will get a Pro. I will probably get a Pro Max. I just like having a big phone because I do a lot of things on it. And for me, even more than the camera, the battery life is just a huge thing. I mean, when I travel, I take an iPhone battery case, and I don't think I'm gonna maybe necessarily need to do that most of the time going forward, because an extra 5 hours is, you know, that's half a day. And usually when I'm traveling, the thing that really crushes my battery is taking photographs and video and that kind of thing. But with 5 extra hours to use, I think I'll be in pretty good shape in most circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to add like 4 hours to the 11 Pro and 5 hours to the Max is incredible. And as you say, like, you probably won't need to use a battery case or really worry about charging it too much unless you're really going at it. But right. I think otherwise it's going to be great.
Yep, I agree. And I also appreciate Apple doing it at, I guess it's 5 a.m. Pacific, which is 7 a.m. my time, because and it's really funny. I've heard a lot of people from California belly aching about how awful it is that they have to get up at 5 in the morning. I mean, I've been getting up at 2 in the morning for years now, and so I have very, very little. I'm playing very tiny violins for these people right now. I have no sympathy. And 2, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning most days, people. Start your day earlier. You'll be fine.
Well, yeah, there is that. Well, yeah, it's a nice leisurely 1 o'clock in the afternoon for us.
Yeah, that's nice. It's just it's not great if you're on the other side of the world, if you're in China or Japan or Australia or whatever. I mean, but those are the breaks. Maybe they'll move it around and everybody will get their time in the sun where they'll have a nice leisurely time to order their phone somewhere in the world each year. But I bet that it got to be kind of a drag if you worked at Apple and you were in charge of dealing with the website and it was midnight and you had to kind of deal with that. That couldn't have been too great. I don't know why 5 a.m. is any better. I mean, it is a pretty early start to your day if you're launching something, but who knows why they did it, but that's how it goes. It's going to be in the morning Pacific time for the very first time ever at this point.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I guess all of this sort of kicks off in a couple of days with the pre-orders and all of that, and then next Friday, hopefully everyone gets their phones and watches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I guess we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully at least one of us will have a phone, and you should have your new watch.
Yeah, I will.
Should be good.
It should be very good. Yeah, let's keep your eyes peeled on Mac Stories, because the big iOS 13 review will be coming from Federico, and Alex Guillot is doing the Watch OS. So
nice.
But yeah, both of those will be out very soon. I'm looking forward to reading both of them.
Yeah, I like to dig into those, because I've completely forgotten everything they told us about at WWDC. So
yeah. All right, Rob. Well, I guess that's enough for this week, and I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Cool. Speak to you later.
Okay, bye.